For JLC, the Reverso is no doubt the icon that stands at the center of the brand's dress watch collection. However, there are a number of other compelling watches from JLC's lineup that celebrate the high level of artisanal watchmaking in which they are really well known for, one being the Ultra Thin Moon. One of the most beautiful moon phase watches in the price range of around $10,000. And in this video, we'll talk a little bit more about the history, take a closer look at this model in particular, and why for some, this might be the dress watch from the brand to look at instead of the Reverso. Let's jump into it. All right guys, now before we jump into this video, I do want to mention a good alternative if you like the looks of this on Baldassarre.com, and that is the Longines Master Collection. So these are just very high finish, high complicated watches for the price, including a calendar chronograph for just north of $3,000. So phenomenal value while also being remarkably wearable considering all the complications. Check it out as well as other members of the Master Collection on Baldassarre.com. Starting with a brief history of JLC as well as some background on this model family. Now, Jaeger-LeCoultre was founded in 1833 in a small Swiss village in the Valley de Joux, right at the beating heart of Switzerland's watchmaking industry. Over the course of its 188 years, JLC has developed a powerful reputation for innovation in watchmaking that has led to their movements being housed within many of the leading brands in high horology. With the Reverso acting as the brand's most significant icon when it comes to the dress watch category, the Master Collection, which dates back to 1992, is JLC's home for more understated designs with an emphasis on watchmaking as a result of the interesting complications that typically are on display. However, here we have the refined simplicity in both the case and the dial with the Master Ultra Thin Moon, with the latest blue dial variant. Digging into the overview portion of this video and starting with a conversation on the case and wearing experience. The Master Ultra Thin Moon is actually available with either a 36mm diameter, but here we have the more mass appealing 39mm variant. With the help of the compact lug-to-lug of 45.8mm, we have a case that wears at 39mm, if not slightly smaller, with most of the case real estate giving way to the beautiful dial. Being a member of the Master Ultra Thin family, the watch aligns in accordance with its name, coming in around 9mm when measuring from the exhibition case back to the top of the sapphire crystal at the front. Taking into account the shorter lug-to-lug, slender case, and the slimming effect of the sloping case back, this watch should wear well on all but the smallest and largest of wrists. Aiding in the wear is a well-done genuine alligator leather strap, which tapers from an odd 21mm with that lug width down to 18mm at the butterfly style sign deployant clasp, which is both understated and also well finished like the rest of the central case. One point of emphasis for these modern JLC straps and deployant buckles is their easy to swap system, as with a quick applied pressure to your finger at the point saying push here, you can remove the buckle without the need for any tools. So pretty nice way of being able to exchange buckles with one another. As you'd perhaps expect from a dressier watch, the Master Ultra Thin Moon is polished virtually all over, from the step bezel to the sign push-pull crown, across the faceted lugs, and along the curved surfaces approaching the exhibition crystal. Just short of the 4 o'clock and after the 8 o'clock, the case sides are punctuated with tiny stylus pushers used for setting the moon phase and its encircling pointer date. Overall, the case design utilizes a highly stepped case execution that helps to make the watch feel even thinner on the wrist, breaking up the already slender height by catching the light in strategic ways. Looking back at the front of the watch, here we have a clear view of one of the most striking moon phase dials in the current luxury watch market. While being understated as one of JLC's core concepts driving the Master Collection, the primary dial surface utilized here defies that term with the metallic petroleum blue that provides a number of different and striking viewing experiences depending on the angle or light. At the dial's perimeter, simple printed white minute markings are broken up by faceted dart-shaped indices that are rhodium plated to add interest while also neatly matching the Dauphine-style handset at the center. JLC's standard applied logo is particularly small in this example, with the JLC wordmark printed in white just below that. Of course, the star here is going to be the moon phase window at the 6, and JLC does not disappoint in this regard. With a partial aperture revealing a starry array in midnight blue with polished moon and stars. The moon, with its reflective finish surrounded with the starry backdrop, is the cherry on top of the refined execution that is this dial, a dial that is perhaps my favorite from the Master Ultra Thin Moonline collection to this point. It just exudes that kind of mystery and simplicity that comes with that blue color that I just really love, and just seeing that starry backdrop with the moon phase, I think there really doesn't need to be anything more said about this dial. It simply is very well done. However, one of the biggest updates with this model, apart from the dial color, is the updated movement on the back side. So while JLC has a lengthy history when it comes to their movements, the brand certainly needed to upgrade some of their calibers in order to compete in the area of everyday utility, mostly in the world of power reserves. This was a point when I was looking at that Polaris a while back, just kind of being a point of criticism with that movement. However, with this new 925 caliber, we have a movement that offers a healthy 70-hour power reserve, one that meets, if not exceeds, the recent increasing luxury standard. Although unlike some of the competition, JLC can lean into some high level of finishing on top of that performance, such as the purling on the base plate, Geneva waves executed across the bridge and rotor. You have screw heads that are either mirror polish or blued, and the centermost bridge offers gold-filled engraving, advertising notable identifiers, as well as the 30 jewels being used with this movement. Composed of 245 components and only being 4.9 millimeters thick, the 925's most notable upgrades are the redesigned barrel, no doubt an important factor with extending the power reserve here, as well as a new escapement with a silicone anchor with a free-sprung balance assembly. This movement operates at 28,800 vibrations per hour, 4 Hertz. It does feature hacking and hand winding, hacking stopping the second hand when you pull the crown to the farthest position, and has a power reserve of 70 hours. In addition, this watch comes with the 1,000 hours testing standard. This is going to test this watch fully cased up, chronometric precision, resistance to temperature changes, magnetism and shock tests, and much more. And just to speak anecdotally in terms of the accuracy on this one, this is anecdotal, but this one that I have on my wrist was running around 2 seconds off from perfect time of day when testing across 5 different positions. So again, when looking at JLC as a brand, I think many people are quick to look at the Reverso as the pinnacle of what the brand has to offer. And I don't want to dispute that point, because in terms of an icon that this brand is known for, the Reverso is absolutely it. But I think people extend that so far where they maybe don't look at other models within the collection. I looked at the Polaris recently, seeing as that kind of an untapped model family that probably could just bring a lot more from an everyday perspective, from the luxury perspective, under $10,000 for kind of do-it-all watch. I think every watch within JLC's collection struggles a little bit from getting outside the shadow that the Reverso is going to cast, but perhaps one of the biggest victims is going to be the Master Collection, primarily this model. So you have the Master Control Collection, and then you have the Master Ultra Thin to make it a bit more confusing. But in terms of the watch that actually, before even the Reverso, or at least right in tandem with the Reverso, that caught my eye when first examining this brand and just kind of falling in love with it, was the Master Ultra Thin Moon. I don't really know what it was, but I always just saw it as one of the best representations of a moon phase complication in the price range. Now, there are cheaper moon phases out there, and there are also some really good ones in this price range for $10,000. We looked at one somewhat recently with the Glashütte Original Panamatic Lunar, but that one's going for something a bit different. And if you're trying to get into the world of moon phase complications from this luxury segment, you want that more classical circular case design from JLC with the moon phase on top of it. This is going to be a very compelling watch. Now, the 70-hour power reserve I think is great news, because JLC, in terms of what they were delivering with some of those 40-hour power reserve movements, Omega increasing their power reserves, other brands like Rolex even kind of setting the standard there with the increase up to 70 hours for many of the offerings there. You look at other Richemont Group brands with their like 5-day power reserves. There simply was some work needed to be done there, and I'm glad that they're starting to answer that with this movement and hopefully with other watches down the road. But really why I wanted to cover this watch is because I think so many people, when they see the Reverso, they might think, okay, the Reverso is not for me. Maybe JLC is not for me at all. But I would say from an entry-level perspective for at least JLC, or like at least not looking at their high complications, I think outside of the Reverso collection, this is the best watch that they make in terms of this dress watch perspective, what it's delivering. From the looks perspective, I think it's absolutely sublime. And again, probably one of the best moon phase complications that you're gonna find in this price range. By no means is it the most attainable watch from the brand, nor is it going to maybe stack up to the same level of iconic stature that the Reverso will bring forth. But in terms of something outside of that collection that's not part of the high complications and the crazy price tags that sometimes are associated with those models, I think this is one of the best watches that JLC currently makes, and is one of my favorite watches that they make as well. But But all right, guys, if you enjoyed this video looking at this watch, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Really would appreciate that, and that does help out the channel. Also, what are your thoughts on this watch and how it stacks up against the competition from other brands, as well as within JLC's catalog as well? Definitely check out TeddyBaldassarre.com, full authorized dealer of 30 brands, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support. Also offer a full factory warranty for all the products that we're offering. And finally, if you want to stay up to date with the content, be sure to follow along on Instagram as well. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.